I haven't made a video in like a really long time. So many people have been talking about body image. It's been very like huge in the cultural zeitgeist of America a few years ago, or I'm not even sure, it was a few years ago. For me, it felt like everyone started talking about Ozempic around the time of last year's Oscars or the like mid spring summertime. I've got to say, it's definitely been doing a number on me because I do exist in a bigger body. It's such a like mind warp to think about. I think that there's a real issue in our culture where we go back and forth between like people should love their bodies, but like also it's better to be thin. You hear it like your entire life from doctors, other people outside of your friends and family, random strangers, and I feel like the signs of like fat phobia aren't just in our day-to-day lives, but they are also in like our external lives as well. Like when you go to an amusement park and you can't like fit onto a roller coaster, or when you try and get in a car with somebody and there's not enough room, people always look at you like, okay, well, you're the reason. But really, I think it's that the world isn't engineered for all types of people, not to kind of put like fat people. I did use the word fat. Some people find it offensive, some people use it as a form of empowerment. I am very neutral about it, so that's why I ended up using it. Not to kind of put like fat people or disabled people in the same like boat, but it does feel very much like the world's not built for certain people. The same way that I have ADHD, the world does not really necessarily work for me. It wasn't built specifically for me to exist. There are so many things that overstimulate me on a daily basis, and there's so many schedules that don't fit my scheduling norms. Does that mean like everything needs to change just to fit like who I am? Absolutely not. But I think that when we're talking about people's bodies, like the house that they live in, like speaking in a sense like spiritually, I think that's kind of disturbing. It makes me think about my journey with body positivity and how over the years it has been off and then on again, specifically because of the discussion around body positivity. A few years ago, I knew nothing about body positivity. Like, I didn't know that that was a thing. My doctor sent me to a nutritionist, and the first one that I initially went to was very different from the second. I went to a second nutritionist, and this nutritionist was like, well, why are you like not eating, or why are you doing these things to yourself? And very much like taught about intuitive eating, and I got really into it. Learned a lot about like body positivity. I got like really into it. I even had a small business that was really successful where we did like planner stickers that were food based, or even just like t-shirts that said body positive things and stickers that said positive things about bodies. And I remember being like so surrounded by so much of that for so long, and I truly like fully believed it, and I still very much believe it. But I do find, because of the topic of Ozempic and everything that's going on, that it's getting a little harder to fully believe in body positivity. I think a lot of plus size like influencers who used to be very body positive and like everybody can love themselves are starting to really give into diet culture. Okay, not that it's not okay to eat healthy or to go to the gym, but they're making it their content, they're making it their like whole thing. Some people have started like Ozempic vlogs and things like that, and nothing is wrong with that. I just think that there should be like an even distribution, because yeah, like of course, it's honestly, when growing up in a bigger body, it was my dream to have a medication that would essentially like change my body. And I even know people personally who take things like Ozempic, Mounjaro, things like that, specifically for medical issues, which is what it was initially created for. But yeah, it's getting pretty hard. And you know, even now I still find myself like thinking about things that I don't really like about my body and not really showing much appreciation for what my body does for me on a daily basis. And I think that the reason why I wanted to make this video is kind of to remind myself of why I went on a body positive journey and how good it felt to really like embrace who you are and not hate on yourself and not constantly try and pick at and change things, which is hard for a lot of people. It isn't just like you wake up one day and you have a positive mindset. It is very difficult. But I think that it's also more about like what you surround yourself around. I've really been looking at social media as a whole specifically, and not just social media, but also just the books you read, the movies you watch. I've been thinking about how certain movies, certain books, and certain social media pages kind of give into body negativity instead of body positivity. I think that we have to be careful about what we consume, because you kind of become what you consume in a way. If you're only seeing like celebrity thin bodies, people talking about how Ozempic works, and not really about the health benefits of all of that, then yeah, you have to let go of it. I also think that it's like so interesting, because when you think about like Ozempic specifically, that's the one that's getting me, because yes, it's a blessing, it's a curse, and it's a dream, and it's a fantasy, and it's everything people have ever wanted. But I feel like people are taking the fact that it exists and they're turning it into a like, okay, so now what's your excuse kind of thing. And not everybody can take Ozempic, okay? Not everybody wants to take it. And I myself even have considered it. But a few months ago, my sister had surgery, and they were gonna hold off on her surgery, like it was an emergency surgery, because they were like, they saw Wegovy in her chart, and they thought that she was taking it, but really it hadn't been approved by insurance, so she was just like, okay, I'm not gonna take it. And they literally were like, we have to wait 2 weeks to like give you your treatment. I've been to the hospital multiple times in the last year, and I've seen patients there who were taking Ozempic and are having stomach pains and things like that. So I think the grass isn't always greener on the other side. We should always consider all of the pros and cons to everything that we do, especially regarding our bodies. And yeah, I think I'm gonna go back to finding accounts that still say that like it's okay to like eat healthy, but you have to do everything, I mean almost everything, in moderation, or else, specifically if you have something to where that's a little bit of something that becomes obsessive for you, step back and be like, okay, like too much of that. And it's always like fine to just like think, what do I need right now, like when it comes to any kind of food or activity, or even what you're scrolling through and watching. I'm like a huge doom scroller. I'm like really bad at it. I do it most of the day. And yeah, I think that's how my brain has become kind of infected with this like diet culture. Your arms are too big, your boobs are too big, like make everything smaller idea. Not that those things, I mean, and I'm saying that because I'm like, not that I won't try and change those things in the future. If you genuinely feel unhealthy, like go ahead and do that. But I think that some people are doing things for the wrong reasons. And yeah, it's like, it's really dystopian almost, like very hard to watch, very hard to see every day, and very hard not to be influenced by it. Because I mean, it's happening to me. It's happened in the last couple of weeks. I think there's like a disconnect happening, because the whole issue, I think, is like, okay, well, maybe it's true, because everyone's talking about how thin is in, and it's like the 2000s again. And I'm like, well, do you remember what the 2000s were like? I was a kid in the 2000s, and I remember like feeling like, okay, well, for a long time I was like, as much as I want to be an actress, am I going to be able to make it in Hollywood? But then you see all these people that started getting really great at like, you know, music, and they had a lot of musicians who were plus sized and a lot of actors who were plus sized, and now those people are kind of shrinking. Not that anything's wrong with that, but it is very interesting to watch, because people are like, oh yeah, I like Lizzo now, she's a little thinner. Why didn't you like her before? Like, really, what was the reason? And that disturbs me, like, because I know that Lizzo specifically was doing it for herself, and Adele like did that for herself. But I think some people take that in and they're like, okay, well, if they can do it, like, why aren't you doing it? Well, maybe we all don't have the ability, the trainers, the, you know, diet, the money to do something like that. It is so bizarre, but all we can do is try and have a better look at the world in the future. There's a lot going on, but I think I just really want to let's go back to body positivity. Nothing was wrong with it. And of course there's going to be people who are like, well, I think it was encouraging unhealthy behavior. Okay, well, I think you doing Pilates 7 days a week is encouraging unhealthy behavior. You know, like, you have to be really honest with yourself and realize that all habits, if taken too far, can become an addiction. And I think right now there is kind of a crisis of thinness, to be honest. I think we need to all just change the conversation that we're having around body image, what healthy looks like, and it's getting to a boiling point for me. And I'm deciding to do something while I still can, because before I was a body positive person, it wasn't pretty. Like, I was starving myself and restricting, and you know what? I didn't look much different than I do now. All we're doing is causing internal and external harm. And for what? To fit in? And that's another thing, because I'm just like, it's hard not to believe it, because so many people make comments about other people's bodies, celebrities' bodies. It's kind of like messed up. People are making trends, like the big back trend, which is funny, but it's also like, it's over. Like, let's stop doing that. Let's stop teaching the kids to do that. Like, we don't know if kids are going to school and saying that to a kid who's in a bigger body. And like, I wouldn't want any kid I know to be representing their family or themselves that way in the world. And it might just be a joke, okay? Like, it might come off as like a fun little social media joke, but it's actually very offensive. And I think it's important in this world that we remember, like, when we look at other people and we make these like generalizations, because it's really natural to like generalize people. But I think it's important to remember that like, everyone is different, everyone was raised different, everyone's from different backgrounds, and you don't really know what that person's been through to get them to where they are. Externally, internally, you don't know if they've been abused or if anything's wrong with them mentally. You have no idea what people are like in the inner workings of their own minds. So I think, to close this video out, I mainly want to just talk about how like people can genuinely just spread kindness. Like, it literally costs nothing when you think about some of the things that are said, even if they're jokes. Like, let's think about the undertones, okay? The undertones of the joke are negative. We're essentially getting to a point where like, yeah, jokes are funny, but like, we're dragging them. We need to let them go. And yeah, I hope this video was a helpful reminder to everyone, and specifically people in bigger bodies, that yes, there are people still out there who are rooting for you. There are people still out there who want to see you in movies, in TV, in public spaces, in creative spaces. There are people who want you to live a very normal life despite what people say or do to you. And I think that if we can all view ourselves in a world where people don't do these things, even though they are, and they are saying these things, and they are actively actually harming people, I think if we treat our lives as though they are everything we dreamed they can be, then it can become that way. So for now, even if I don't fully believe it, I'm going to try and wake up every day and not make comments about my body, you know, because it doesn't matter how it looks. What matters is that it gets me from point A to point B, and I'm so lucky that it's able to do that. And even when, you know, even if you are in like a body that's not able to do that, it does so much more in a day. Like, it runs food through your body, it controls the heat centers in your body, it holds your brain in place so it can work. And so I think looking at your body that way is going to be the best way to go about it. And it's the only way to go about it, because you didn't choose your body. And not as much as you can change it, trying to change too much in an unhealthy way is a slippery slope, and it's the kind of thing that never ends. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I hope I was some help to people today, because I just wanted to talk about something that I've been struggling with. Please remember, I know everybody says this at the end of their videos, but please be kind to people. Please, like, don't draw conclusions about what people look like and why, and please try to love yourself today. I know that's not easy, but we're gonna try. I'd love to do another video, so leave your topics down below. I'll make stuff. I have stuff that I can make. I will see you in the next video. Bye.